right here in this room back in September when we began our public summits, and we had 6 of those. Around 1,500 people showed up. This room was filled 5 times, and another time the room at the SSAB was filled with people talking about the future for all of our schools in terms of providing 21st century, the highest world-class education. We had another 1,500 respond online to the same questions. So 3,000 people, it's unprecedented. I know of no other situation of any district, and I've been around for a long time, and I've been all over the state where that much input's been taken to plan for our future, for each and every, as our proposed vision would say, all of our children. Following that, several hundred people in focus groups took the input from the summits and worked on that even more to start getting focus. And then finally this group of people that are in front of you here, and they're not all here, but a number of them are. There was about 26 people, only six of whom were staff. The rest were community people. Very diverse from around this district. Some parents, some not. But they came to work in this room 2 grueling days, 48 hours, 24 of which were spent working without a break. It was extremely intense. I must say that I don't know if I've ever seen anybody work as hard as those people worked. To think that they took off jobs, the other things they do in their busy lives to spend that kind of time was phenomenal to me. And all of it was about, and for those of you in this room, all of it was about making sure we have the best schools that we can possibly have for all of our kids in LISD. It was amazing, that sense of commitment and volunteerism. Another thing that really amazed me was, because the group was very diverse, in this day and age with the issues that we face in our society, this group came together and you could not tell the difference in these people. They have different political persuasions. They come from different parts of our community, but you could not tell it. The unity that they came together in terms of doing what's best for our kids was phenomenal to me, and that didn't go without observation with the members. They came back again for maybe the most difficult 13 hours I've ever spent in my life to hash out what had been done through the action teams, and I don't want to leave the action teams out of it. They worked for weeks, these action teams, to work on the goals this group had proposed, and then they did a virtual town hall meeting that hundreds of people participated in, and they came together again one more time before they came to you as a board to present their proposals. I think their work is outstanding. I must commend them for what they've done. I think they're very representative of this district, and it was an honor for me to have a chance to work with these folks. I won't ever forget what they've done, and I think they've done brilliant work. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Ruddell.
You really covered it well. It has been an amazing opportunity for us to bring our community together to listen, to think, to probe, to hash out literally every single word that went into the vision, the mission, the goals, and the beliefs that were created by the strategic design team. We want to thank you for partnering with us, and we want to give you an opportunity to talk with our school board about the process, and also to let you know, board members, that tomorrow morning we will have a presentation for our principals as well with regard to strategic design. So if I could ask Steve Southwell to begin the presentation. And I don't know if everybody, for those of you who have been on the strategic design team, would you please stand so that we could thank you?
Dr. Waddell, members of the board, thank you so much. I'm just honored to be here tonight and not be up here griping for once to actually share some nice, positive things. And I'm just so glad to see all these people out here tonight. These are engaged parents, exactly what we need. This is awesome. I'm so glad you're here to see this. Dr. Waddell probably said most of what I was going to say, so I'll say it again anyway, but I'll try to be quick. We held 6 education summits in this room and also in the Student Services building across town. It was a packed house when I was here. I think it was a packed house pretty much every time. So we had about 1,500 people that actually came and sat in this room. And at those meetings, citizens got a chance to basically weigh in and speak to each other and speak to the group. Everybody got to say, just kind of like tonight, about what they thought about education and what's important and what their perceptions were. I'm also very pleased to say that the videos of all of that are online. You know, I'm a big fan of videoing these things. So now, based on the input that was gathered at these summits, community members were asked to participate in a survey. This was online, and I think it was emailed to everybody, and there was something like 1,500 responses. There were only 5 questions, and I want to share those 5 questions. They were very simple questions, but they made you think. The questions were, what are your highest hopes for students as a result of their time in Louisville schools? What skills do students need to thrive in the current context? What do students need to be doing in school to acquire these skills? What is the role of the teacher in this environment? And how does the system need to change to support these new roles for students and teachers? Thank you. So, after that survey, the district held a series of focus groups with some members who were in for some of the summit groups, some teacher groups, student groups. They were roughly in 3 categories. It was community members, it was teachers, and it was students. I should say LISD employees, not always teachers. Those same 5 questions were asked, and the groups had different perspectives. But you could tell there were some consistent answers that all of the groups pretty much agreed on. Among those, I'm just going to hit the high points here. Problem solving and critical thinking skills were very big. Preparing students for college, career, and the real world. People said real world a lot. They said that teachers needed to be facilitators, mentors, and designers of engaging experiences. They said that flexibility and individualization of learning was big with parents and students, and to a lesser extent, the employees. And employees wanted to be able to have more collaboration and curriculum changes. Also interesting was that across the board, the biggest category of answers to any of these 5 questions was other, which that was just awesome. I mean, at first when I saw that, I thought, oh my, we don't agree on anything. But after sitting in the room with these people, we realized that it's just people being engaged. People all have their ideas, and when we really got to talking about it, we just realized we were saying the same thing in different ways. So it was great that there was some unity around that. So following those focus groups, the strategic design team was established, and it represented a cross-section of the district. Now, only 6 of the team members were district employees, the rest were community members. So those 20 other members represented each and every feeder pattern in the district, all of the high schools. Very diverse group. Like Dr. Waddell said, it was, you know, both ends of the political spectrum, up, down, left, right, every race and ethnicity, men and women. It was very diverse. Lots of different opinions. The important thing is that if we could sit in this room and argue for 24 hours and at the end of the day agree, not consensus, but agree, then we hope this is something that the community can get behind. So I'm going to read the team member list. Let's see if it's on here. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's more than that on my list. Okay. We had Amanda Alvarez, Brandy Anderson Brewer, Leanne Bandy, Albert Boyd, Sissy Bauer, Beth Brockman, Rick Debner, John D'Angelo, Lisa Destraza, Angie DeBlado, Winston Edmondson, Johnny Foster, Vernell Gregg, Jennifer Lindy, Matt McCormick, Ara Manassian, Pam Moore, Julie Mosley, Snall Furkey, Penny Riddell, Tricia Sheffield, myself, Steve Southwell, Chantal Upshaw, Chris Vaughn, and Dr. Waddell. And here's a picture of us working. It was pretty messy. And Pam Moore is next.
Board members and staff members of LISD and fellow residents of LISD, it's a great privilege to be here tonight and to share the excitement that I've experienced being a part of this strategic design team. And I think there's another slide that goes up. Do I do it? Okay. You want to do it for me? You have to be smarter than the little device, and sometimes that's hard for me. A couple things to know. They've already talked about that our meetings in November were 2 days, and they really were grueling days of work. There was no entertainment. Like they said, no breaks. You just took your own break when you had to. But you didn't want to leave for more than just a couple minutes because so much was happening. There's a key word in the second bullet there, identified LISD, community core beliefs, and all the words are important, but community is what really stuck out in my mind throughout this whole process. About when I was in school, and of course that was a while ago, but less than half a century ago, schools were such that the community largely determined what was happening in the schools in their area. And then over the decades since then, that has changed. And so education became a thing that educators and different groups felt needed to best be administered from the top down. This administration, along with others in TASA, recognized that the community is the core of what goes on in education, and they felt that the community, which involves parents and businesses and other groups, are absolutely crucial for really great education to take place. And you saw that throughout this process. And like it's been mentioned, we were all diverse in our like, I'm not an educator. I'm a mother and a grandmother. And my children, I have 5 children. They all are successful in their own careers. They became successful through public education, and one was homeschooled. And so you see that they allowed everyone to participate and share their values. One thing that has already been mentioned is the unanimity that came out of our meetings. And although we were different in a lot of our values, we were absolutely united in the concept that great education is not defined by good grades and high test scores. Great education is not memorization or regurgitation of facts and dates. Neither is it measured by how much income one earns, by political power, or by popularity. So our task that we all agreed was to develop really great education that would take us away from the conveyor belt type of education, which at best produces mediocrity for the majority of the people. The vision that this administration has is that we will recognize the soul of every single student in our area, and the soul of those students has the potential of great genius. And when we recognize that no matter what part of the district they live in, that's our goal, and that's what we worked on as a team, then we were able to come up with these wonderful core beliefs, the mission and the vision. And, you know, change is always difficult. When I came to the meetings initially, I was afraid, to be quite frank. When I came to the very first meetings in September, I thought, oh my goodness, what direction are they going to take us? Are they going to take us further away from the core values of our community? And yet, it's been wonderful to see that wasn't the case. Instead, they brought us all together, and they helped me recognize that it isn't just my particular area that they're going to be focusing on. They're focused on the colony, every single school in the district. They want the very best for our students. And the last thing I'd like to mention is that this is a monumental task that our school district and the community have undertaken together as partners. It truly is, and in this, it's a process. We feel very confident about the things that we set in place, but we know this is just the beginning. However, we feel that this partnership that we've developed, that others will step forward and continue this same thing, so that our education here will be exceptional no matter what part of the district we live in, and that we will be a beacon for the rest of the nation of what education, great education, can really be like. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's been absolutely wonderful. If I had known how much work it was going to be, I probably would have said no, because I work and I didn't get the time off free. You know, I had to make up that time. But was it worth it? It was. And I can tell you that change, as difficult as it can be, can bring just so many great benefits. And so we need to be open to these changes and be contributors. And I say thank you.
I, like many of you here tonight, came to this room for one reason, and it wasn't for the greater district to begin with. I came to one of the summits because I had an itch about bring your own technology, as I know many of you are here tonight for a singular issue. But what I found was a much bigger opportunity. As I was sitting, focused on my singular issue, I started to hear all the different concerns from parents and staff in the district. And I started to realize that I'm a part of a huge district that's much bigger than where I live or my elementary school. And even though I can be very concerned about my 5th grader, my 2nd grader, my kindergartner, we have an amazing opportunity having a district this broad and this diverse. And so I hope you take a few minutes to listen. I know you came for other issues tonight, but I hope you can hear some of the things we've learned through our work. The first thing I want to address were our core beliefs. And I'm very thrilled to be presenting some of the meat of what we've done. We came together, a very diverse group, all ranges of children, grandchildren, former educators, current educators, businessmen. I think we had the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and we had some often attended meetings with Steve Southwell. We had a lot of active parents, and it was amazing, as Steve pointed out, that we were able to reach 100% agreement on 7 core beliefs. I want to read those real quick. They're up on the screen. And I think number 1 is something everyone in this room can agree on for sure. Every student is uniquely capable and deserves to be challenged each day. That's something Pam touched on, is that we've gotten used to an archaic system of education that's not meeting our needs. And when we change that system, we'll see equality throughout the district as children are encouraged to be challenged every day. We talked a lot about what it means to the society when you have an educated populace, and not necessarily in dollar signs or in their degree after high school, just in their confidence and their talents they've uncovered and their ability to grow in those talents. We talked a lot about critical thinking. That definitely was addressed in a lot of the summits. And one phrase in here may sound odd to you if you haven't heard it before, but disruptive innovation scared a lot of us at the beginning of our meeting. I don't like change either. But basically, we're saying that if we want something different, it has to be disruptive. We have to break away from what we're currently doing and do something completely different. And I think, regardless of your stance on why you came tonight, we could all agree that moving from the past into something completely different is an amazing opportunity that we should take. I'm going to read our vision statement that came next. And again, I think Dr. Waddell touched on this, but we wanted the phrase, all of our students. That's students who are LEAP kids, that's students who are in special programs, that's students at every grade level, and ability to enjoy thriving, productive lives in a future they create. And the point of including they create is admitting that we can't foresee what their future will look like and what their careers will look like. Obviously, I wasn't using a computer very much in college. I'm sure some of you guys are in that same age range. So today, the fact that kindergartners are bringing iPads to school kind of boggles my mind. But there's a future out there that's going to be something we can't even imagine, but they're going to be the ones creating it, and we need to give them the tools to do that. I'll touch on the mission statement as well. Important in this is the inclusion of a community. Just the process that we went through as strategic design team, where the superintendent was very kind and the staff very kind to ask us what we think. And I want to just alleviate any concerns you might have that we were dictated to or coached or encouraged or we needed to buy in. Dr. Waddell and Dr. Vernell, many of the people you see up here and some of the people in the audience who are on staff with LISD had the same amount of vote or voice that any of us did. And as a parent, I'm sure that would bring you encouragement to know that your leadership considers your opinion equal to their own. We talked about engaging innovative experiences, and I think that's probably what the kids want. You know, we're probably concerned about all kinds of different things, but the kids are tired of being bored, and they're tired of doing worksheets, and they're tired of free time that's just wasted in the classroom. From those vision mission statements, we accepted some goals, and these are pretty ambitious, and we hope actionable. And one of the key things that kept coming up in a lot of our focus groups was, how long is this going to take? And I'm sure the board and the superintendent will have to decide that, but our time frame is short. Some of the children and students who were questioned on this are in high school, and they don't want their high school career to end without seeing this put in place. And as a parent of a 5th grader, I want to see this done while she's in middle school. So we're talking about a near horizon for this being a reality in our schools. First, I'll touch on provide all learners with safe, nurturing, inclusive, and flexible, Each of these 4 words were key. We had people in the group who school had been a negative experience and they wanted to see it changed. We had people in the group whose school was a safe haven from a difficult family situation, and they needed people like the counselor there to listen to them. So we had all these different emotions and experiences coming together, and those 4 words came out as the most important when we were describing what our schools should be. We also addressed in the 3rd district goal testing. I know that's an issue, and it has been an issue with STAR testing even recently. How do we rate our schools? What does that mean if my school's recognized, or if my school's acceptable, or if my school's exemplary? Are those actual reflections of the quality of the school and the students, or are those just because of a test? And so we addressed wanting our district to be something bigger than a test and more realizable than a test, something you could go and look at a school and say, you know what, that school has amazing volunteers, and they scored A++ on volunteerism instead of scoring on a particular section of the STAR test. So I know that was a big issue in Summit, so we addressed that in 3. Number 5, I think you would find encouraging if you're a parent here tonight, not a district employee, that the community staff and students are encouraged to share their input and encouraged to participate in the discussion. What is this going to look like? What do you think we need? What are some changes that need to be done? And I appreciate personally that our superintendent's willing to hear those comments. And then, of course, we talk about varied assessments that inspire students. I know that it's hard to have your student pigeonholed into one category or another, and they just continue to move on in that system. And this is allowing for your child to be more than just a percentile or a program. It's identifying your child's individual talents and then meeting those needs and addressing whatever weaknesses there are and encouraging where there are strengths. And to me, I think personalized education was a big concern with the summits as well. All of us recognizing that children learn differently, children need different experiences in school, and a one-size-fits-all school does not serve our best interests. And then last, we touched on an accountability system that transcends state and national mandates. If it is truly a project of the community, then we will hold our schools accountable ourselves. And regardless of whatever the state says, or on a national basis is said about our schools, we know what we've invested and what we expect from our kids, and if they're meeting those standards. And that, above all, is most important. Thank you.
I'm Winston Edmondson, Louisville High School graduate and LEAP student. Wanted to recognize my fellow LEAP students. Once a LEAP student, always a LEAP student. And I just wanted to say, remember, you're in LEAP, so whatever the decision is, you guys are able to overcome adversity. That's kind of what we do, so you're going to be okay however it turns out. You'll be fine. So first I want to make sure you guys understand just how intense, no whispering, how intense this process was. So I never understood these fitness boot camp people, like 5 a.m. you see them working out, like they're paying someone to just abuse them and punish their bodies. It's terrible. Well, I get it now after going through this. I still would never do it, but I get it because they get such an extreme workout where every single muscles they didn't know they had, they get worked out. Well, we went through kind of the mental process, the equivalent, because literally this was excruciatingly painful, just having to forget about things that we've learned and we're just so accustomed to. This is how it's always been. We had to just drop those things. We had to kind of reimagine education. It's not easy to do. And so, yeah, I really felt areas of my brain that I didn't know I had getting a workout. Especially, you get these thought-provoking questions from Dr. Waddell, and you have to answer them and speak to why you hold this value, and you can't back down. And like we said, we had a complete unanimous decision. It was really an incredible experience. And I think you're going to see some parallels from what we did to what the students will go through. And what I mean by that is, although this was very painful and excruciating, literally, it was enjoyable at the same time. And I think we can do it with education, where despite the pain, it's like you still want more. You know, thank you, may I have another? And so when this first group, the strategic design was finished, they asked me if I'd be willing to go on to the next step, which is the action team. And I said, yeah, bring it on, more pain, let's do it. And I think, I'm hopeful that we'll have that parallel, and the students will love what they're doing. No matter how challenging it is, they'll love it and they'll want more. So with the action team, it was a little more difficult because we didn't have that complete landscape. We had to do everything within the guidelines that the strategic design team set for. So again, a very diverse group. So we had 25 members. Half of the individuals were staff, just to make sure that they knew what was going on. They kind of made sure we didn't go bonkers. The other half made up of citizens, so 175 total. Now this is where we really got to, I would kind of compare the first group as dreamers, and now we have to kind of get down to business, and we had to do research and identify themes, and we had homework. We had to take this stuff home and come back with results. And so from these very lofty, sometimes confusing statements that we came up with, and I think that confusion is good because it makes you think about the definitions. What are we really talking about? But from that, we had to drill down and eventually come up with some very precise goals. So, for example, to institute a student portfolio system that travels with the student that incorporates a variety of assessments. This is where we're drilling down to something that's more meaningful, less visionary, and more, this is what we're actually going to do. So it was a really satisfying process. Let me see what else we have here. So let's see. Basically what we had to do is we took the guidelines and we came up with our very specific goals at that point. We brought them back and we explained them to the strategic design, and it was their job to make sure that everything we came up with was in line. It had to directly lead to the goals that we had in place. And amazingly enough, with the exception of one that just needed some clarification, they all did that. So again, another, I think, just an incredible feat. You know what, I would hope that somehow, after going through this, I would love for all of you to experience something like it. I don't know if I feel like we're such a family now, we're going to have to get together and do some kind of brainstorming, and I just hope that there's some opportunity for you guys to get together and just kind of hammer out some solutions to difficult problems, and it's just a rewarding experience. I think that's probably about all I needed to cover. Yeah, so it boils down to more pain, more gain. It was, we did it on your behalf, and we enjoyed every second of it. We'd do it again. In fact, let me throw a plug in. For the next step, I'll volunteer. I love the pain. Bring it on. Let's do it again.
I'm Snehal Firke. All of the board members, administrators, and everyone in this room, especially everyone on this side, I can connect with very well. Because before September, before I go there, let me say that I share the pain that was shared here by a lot of people today, that they are concerned about the schools, because I myself come from the same background. And me and my husband do care about my our two kids who are in elementary school. And my daughter happens to be in 4th grade now. So we were thinking that after 5th grade, she goes to middle school, and the middle school there is not exemplary. And the only thing I could see to see whether a school is good or not is whether it's exemplary or not. And I want the best, so it has to be exemplary, nothing less than that. But at the same time, parallelly, I believed, based on the research, and I am, out of 24 hours, you can say that at least 12 hours I'm in front of my computer, because that's my profession, and I can't live without the internet. So my research and whatever I have learned from Sir Ken Robinson, Daniel Pink, and all of these people talking about the public school system and how the education happens and how it's so outdated, I still believe that no matter how good rating the schools are going to have, it's not going to prepare my children for their future. So in September, when I saw Sir Ken Robinson's video on LISD website, I felt a little bit hope, and I walked in from that room, and I was on time, by the way, but still I had to go back there because the room was full. And like many people have said that they don't want to come here, and that was my first time too, because for full-time working, mother of two, you don't have time for every single thing. But that day, whatever happened, the way Dr. Waddell talked and Shannon Burke, who was facilitating this whole process, the way they talked and whatever the content was shared, I felt this is it. So what is it? That's the strategic design we are talking about. I'm the last person talking about it, so you don't have to worry about how long it's going to be. But at the same time, remember, every time they say last but not the least. So I've got something important to share too. The most important thing that I want to share out of the core beliefs, vision, mission, and goals that literally fit on one single page here. And I would urge every one of you, from the board, administrators, and every single person, every single parent who cares about their children, to read every single word out of this and then think about LISD one more time. It doesn't matter what school you will be in. If we can achieve this, if we can accomplish this, this is truly significant. And I'm saying this after I said that I did not believe in public school system here, because I read so many TED Talks. Some of fellow members here might know what is TED, Technology, Entertainment, and Design. And a lot of research about why the high school student, why there is so much dropout rate of high school students. That's because if you look at the business side, what job the schools are doing for the high school students. And if we are not meeting that, if we are expecting something else, why would students be interested in learning? And if they are not engaged and interested in learning, the true, genuine learning will not happen. Coming back to what I was supposed to share. This I had to share. But what I'm supposed to share is the phase 3. Like my fellow members, strategic design team members shared earlier, that we initially created this core beliefs, vision, mission, and goals, and then these goals were given to the action teams, and action teams came up with the objectives. All the objectives were presented to us. All the hard work the action teams put in to come up with the objectives, measurable objectives. We reviewed all of the objectives to make sure if they are necessary to accomplish the goal, and also if they are concise to communicate the desired outcomes. And after there were multiple objectives for each goal, and after we reviewed all of the goals, we made sure that together, taken together, they were sufficient to accomplish that goal. Because we put in a lot of efforts, and it's not just the 26 members of the strategic team that have put in the effort. There have been 3,000 community members who have provided their valuable input. And this is the first time it has been happening in LISD, and like Dr. Waddell shared, that it is unprecedented to see so much community interest. So on my behalf, if you ask me whether it was pain, no, because it's not only for my kids. I did not come here as a parent, but I truly believe that if this can happen, if we can transform teaching and learning, if we can give better education to the students, to our kids, it's not only going to give them a better job, but it's going to transform their life, their future. And that's not just their future, it's our future too. Imagine if the students who are in this community, they do something good, it's going to be good for our future too, because we are going to be retiring in that future. So that was my purpose. That gives me purpose. That's why every time they call me, and the first time I was sitting there, and Dr. Linda had asked me my contact information, and I was so happy that maybe I'll get to do something here, something significant. And then I was waiting, when are they going to call me? And one day they did, and I felt very good. I enjoyed every bit of this, and every single thing that goes on this, or every single thing on all of the more than 40 objectives that we have reviewed is important. Every word of it is important. We have made sure that the wording is concise, and obviously there is going to be a need to communicate all of this to the administrators and community members for the implementation, and we will be there. We will be there. Our work is not finished with just this. This is the beginning of the implementation. This may be the end of the design, but as every end is the beginning of something, yeah, design is complete, but now the real thing starts. So I will be there, and I'm sure every single member of the strategic design team will be there to support and communicate or do whatever needed to make sure this happens. So when we reviewed all these objectives, we made sure that they are sufficient. First of all, they are in line with the intent of the goal. They are necessary and sufficient and concise. And also we came up with some measurable objectives to make sure that we are going to ensure that we will accomplish the vision and mission also. Because we don't want the vision and mission to be on the paper. We want this to happen. We want this to happen for every single child, all of our students. If you read the vision statement, it is so significant. Every time I read it, I feel it is going to happen. Maybe it's just that I worked on this. That's why I feel so much confident about it. But I haven't seen so much dedication and so much business knowledge I did not expect from public school. And when I literally, if you look at the core belief that says genuine transformation requires disruptive innovation, I was like, wow, this is the place you want to be. Because does anybody know what is disruptive innovation? If people, I'm sure at least from the people, at least the people from the business background must be familiar with the disruptive innovation. It's when you look at the innovation, sustaining innovation is just making something a little bit better. So change the tax test to a STAR test. Haven't we seen that they are doing it over and over? They are raising the bar, but is it helping? Is it helping our children to actually come up with all the abilities that they are going to need on the job there? The education that I got, that did not prepare me for the job that I did, the job that I do. Because out-of-the-box thinking and the creativity and the divergent thinking, that is exactly what gets killed with your standardized test, single answer worksheets. And when I'm at the job, the VP or the CTO, they expect me to come up with a design with the resources that they have in the time frame that they have, and that always needs some out-of-the-box thinking. So coming back to the strategic design initiative, this has been open and transparent to all community members. All the documents are on the website, and we also did a social media town hall. We had around 1,000 viewers, and the core beliefs, vision, mission, and goals have evolved due to the exhaustive community input. As we all know that in the summits and in the focus groups, whatever people shared, 3,000 community members have shared their highest hopes and all the input. And based on that, this is not something we created between just the 26 people of us. This is the representation of all the community input, because they are all the stakeholders. I don't think, and I'm so glad that today I can say that there are this team, this 26 people team, which is representing the whole community out here, thinks that education is a shared responsibility of the community. All of you, all of them here, everybody together is a stakeholder. Schools don't belong to the administrators. Schools belong to us. School belongs to all of us. And that's what this is all about. And that's why it matters to me so much. And whatever I started with, that before I walked in this room first time, I had this thinking, and we were all already talking to a real estate agent that, okay, let's look into some houses in Plano ISD, because there are more school exemplary there. So for now, I'm not moving. I'm going to stay put. I'm going to do everything that's needed for this to happen. And I wish, I hope, and I really urge every single person in this room that let's make this happen. Thank you.